There are now multiple investigations looking into sexual misconduct allegations, those involving the man married to a UW system chancellor. An Adams County clerk will find out if she needs to start looking for a new job after accusations she was involved in a massive data breach.
This is News 3 This Morning.
Good morning and welcome to News 3 This Morning. It is Wednesday, September 19th. And maybe just curl under the covers today, folks. It's that kind of a rainy day.
You made it to midweek, though. Halfway done.
We did. We did it.
True.
Silver lining.
That's true. 2 more days of rain in the forecast this week, then we dry out for the upcoming weekend. That's the good news. This morning, we are dealing with some fog. Fog has developed here in Madison, having a hard time seeing the dome on the Capitol from our Edgewater sky cam. Visibility at the airport, not so much an issue, but here through central Madison and on the west side, we are noting some fog this morning, so be aware of that. Visibility is down to about a mile in Mineral Point. Here's a look at our alert days in the forecast today and tomorrow due to the potential for some heavy rain, causing some problems with flooding to the north. And then on Thursday, 2 rounds of showers and thunderstorms, one early and then again late at night. Some of those storms could be severe. Here's a look at Doppler track this morning. We're watching a cluster of showers and thunderstorms that's moving across northern Iowa. It will be tracking eastward, but weakening with time. So as those showers and thunderstorms move into southern Wisconsin, it's expected to mainly be rain. Our temperatures this morning are starting in the 50s in some spots to around 60. We'll climb to highs in the mid-70s this afternoon. Your first alert traffic update this morning showing you that there are no major issues on any of the major roads here in Madison. No accidents either at this hour. So it looks like you're traveling at posted speeds on all those major roads heading into Madison.
It is good to see that Janesville to the Beltline doing well because we had an accident earlier this morning. Not sure how long that was going to last. It is all cleared.
It's cleared up now.
Yeah. Thanks, Hattie.
You're welcome.
First this morning, the UW system says it's opening a second investigation into sexual assault allegations against the husband of UW Whitewater's chancellor. There are new allegations this morning against Pete Hill, who served as an associate to the chancellor since 2015. A Whitewater councilwoman posted on Facebook this weekend that he put his hand down her skirt. The UW system had already banned Hill from campus after a number of other women came forward to accuse him of sexual harassment back in June. The university responded to the new investigation in a statement. It says it has an unwavering commitment to a safe educational and work environment. Some are also calling on Hill's wife to resign as chancellor. Hill, meanwhile, has denied doing anything wrong. Grant County deputies are investigating a neighboring county's district attorney suspected of driving drunk over the weekend. Iowa County DA Larry Nelson was cited for his first offense OWI. Iowa County authorities say they received an OnStar emergency alert around 8:30 Sunday morning. Deputies say 59-year-old Nelson accidentally pushed that button, but while they were looking into the situation, authorities determined he was driving while intoxicated. The Grant County Sheriff's Department is now handling the case to avoid any conflict of interest. Adams County supervisors will meet this morning to decide whether the county clerk accused of causing a massive data breach should be able to keep her job. That breach affected the personal information of more than 250,000 people. Christina Laurie is looking ahead to that hearing set for 10 o'clock this morning. She joins us from the News Center with that. Good morning, Christina.
Good morning, Danica and Leah. Attorneys for the county and county clerk Cindy Philippi will present evidence in front of the Adams County Board later this morning. After that, board members will vote on whether she should keep her job. Philippi is accused of exposing the personal information of more than 500,000 people by using an unsecure laptop computer, which is the center of the investigation. She also reportedly failed to report financial records related to fees collected through the county for the DMV and the DNR for the past 8 years now. It wasn't until May of this year that Philippi reported the bank account balances to the county board for the first time. Philippi is also accused of sending confidential information, including employee emails, to a non-county employee. Investigators allege Philippi had access to software that could read all county employee emails and could see records of people entering the county building using key fobs. Access to this information was outside the authority of Philippi's position as county clerk, according to the prosecution. So far, Philippi hasn't been charged with a crime, but after today, she could be out of a job and a position she's held for 13 years now.
We will be sure to follow up on the board's decision later today on channel3000.com and, of course, on News 3 coming up later on. Christina Laurie reporting from the News Center. Thanks, Christina. Time now at 6:05. The man who was shot in the stomach after pulling a knife on Madison police is now facing felony charges. 35-year-old Scott Stein Jr. has a $10,000 bond for charges of threatening an officer with a weapon and disorderly conduct. This all happened on the 1st of the month when police say Stein pulled a knife on an officer. That officer shot Stein once in the stomach. He recovered after a stint in the hospital. Stein's preliminary hearing is set for next week. New this morning, Madison police are looking for the person suspected of robbing a gas station at gunpoint. Officers were called out just before 9 o'clock last night to the BP on Speedway Road. This is right by the Glenway Golf Course on the near west side. Now, police say a man wearing a fake beard came in with a handgun and demanded money. The clerk wasn't hurt. Officers tried tracking down that suspect with a canine, but that effort was unsuccessful. Your time right now is 6:06, and the Sun Prairie School District is expected to reopen the high school pool this morning after closing it for a parasite threat. Dane County Public Health confirmed one person did contract an infection while swimming in that pool, forcing it to close yesterday. Those officials now say anyone who swam in the pool from August 22nd to yesterday is susceptible to the parasite Cryptosporidium. That can cause diarrhea, nausea, vomiting, cramping, and fever. There's no indication how that parasite got into the pool. Health officials say while there's a slim chance of anyone else getting affected by it, crews did use high chlorine levels to clean out that pool overnight. All right, Madison's mayor is expected to update neighbors on flooding potentials at 11 o'clock this morning. We made it almost 2 weeks without rain, but now with more in the forecast, all eyes are on the water once again. So how long will the risk for flooding continue? Josh Breiter is live near Lake Monona with the answer. Good morning, Josh.
Good morning. Water resource engineers tell me they expect the flooding risk to continue into mid to late October. They say it's going to take weeks of dry weather to get the lakes down to their summer levels. And with that rain in the forecast once again, city officials are urging you to keep those sandbags in place. We first told you 1 week ago they didn't want anybody to have the impression that this threat was over. Lake Monona is still above the 100-year flood level right now. If we get too much rain too soon, the county may have to open the locks again out of Lake Mendota. That would increase the flow into the Yahara River and other lakes below. Because the water table is still sitting high, other low-lying areas could also be at risk. And another thing we're looking into this morning is the state of our roads here in this city. Due to that flooding, many of the surfaces were covered for a longer period of time than normal. Coming up just after 6:30, I'll have more on the safety of Madison streets right now. But as you can see, the boat ramp here at Olin Park still closed this morning due to those high water levels, ladies.
Absolutely. We will try to carry Mayor Soglin's address in his press conference later this morning on channel3000.com. Josh Breiter reporting from Olin Park. Thank you, Josh. All right, 6:08 your time now. UW-Madison might not have an athletics department. That's what the chancellor had to say about whether student athletes should get paid. We'll tell you about a trial happening in California that might have an impact on Badger sports players here. It's a grab the umbrella, maybe a crawl back into bed kind of morning. Come on, Hattie has a couple of alert days for us. It's a little foggy out there. We have chances for storms and showers later on today, and we are already looking ahead to the weekend because why not when News 3 This Morning returns.
Good morning from the Hattie-O patio. We have a little bit of fog to talk about this morning here on the west side of town, so be aware of that this morning. Also, alert days in the forecast. Today and tomorrow are alert days for southern Wisconsin. Here's a look at the rain potential with one particular model showing you some pretty high rain totals shaping up from the Dells and points to the north. The best chance for heavy rain is, in fact, across parts of central Wisconsin over the next 48 hours. Parts of the area are under a flash flood watch. That does include Juneau and Adams counties. It starts at 6 p.m. this evening and goes through about noon on Thursday. And that again is for some potential heavy rain. Here's a look at our severe weather outlook. The marginal risk for severe weather does extend into western Wisconsin today, but then for tomorrow, the slight risk for severe weather is still across much of central Wisconsin. Trim that eastern edge of the slight risk area back, though, because a cold front that is going to be responsible for some of the rain tomorrow night is moving through later in the nighttime hours. Not a very good time for severe weather. Here's a look at Doppler track this morning. Nothing in the area right now, but been watching a cluster of showers and thunderstorms working its way across parts of northern Iowa early this morning. That will continue to track towards the east. It is expected to weaken some, though, as it moves eastward. A live look from the Edgewater Skycam. Actually have a little bit better visibility of the capital right now, but there is some fog from the west side of Madison all the way down to Mineral Point this morning, where visibility is 1 mile. Fog is developing where temperatures have dropped into the 50s. Now here in Madison, we're up a few degrees from last hour. We were at 56 last hour. Now we're at 59. Still in the 60s, though, with some cloud cover to the west. A look at your future track forecast model, and while there may be a few holes in the clouds this morning, clouds will rule the day as that rain across Iowa works its way towards us by lunchtime today. Again, it will be weakening as it tracks eastward, so just showers and a few isolated thunderstorms. Highs in the mid-70s. The threat for rain, though, will continue tonight, and I would expect that rain to turn a bit more widespread overnight. Again, potential rain is looking highest to the north and west. Here's a look at our extended forecast. We are real up and down on the temperatures over the next couple of days. 74 today. With the rain ending tomorrow morning, we'll climb into the mid-80s with humidity during the afternoon. Then rain returning Thursday night into early Friday. But that is along cold fronts, and it will be much more comfortable for the upcoming weekend with highs near 70 degrees. Now let's get a look at your first alert traffic this morning with Josh Tim. Good morning, Josh.
Good morning. Well, foggy start on the roadways. Make sure you give yourself a little extra time this morning and make sure those headlights are on. So far, though, no delays showing up on the Beltline yet in either direction. Everything is moving well from end to end. Looking at Dane County, the usual brake lights are popping up near Stoughton Road and Verona Road approaching the Beltline ramps. No problems at all yet downtown around the Capitol Square and UW campus. I would look for volume to increase over the next hour or so. Other main routes leading into Madison, they're cruising along at the usual speeds right now with no crashes or delays. With your first alert traffic, I'm Josh Tim.
Thanks so much, Josh. Thanks, Hattie. 6:15 your time now. There is research happening here in Madison about how separating children from their families might impact those kids long term. A UW researcher is presenting her studies on the subject later today. This comes a day after Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson and the Homeland Security Committee he chairs talked about the same issue at the border on Capitol Hill. This afternoon, Assistant Professor Tova Walsh will talk about military families who are separated and the similarities they share with immigrant families. You can catch that talk over at Nancy Nicholas Hall. That's off North Charter Street and Linden Drive.
UW-Madison Chancellor Rebecca Blank says the school's athletic program could cease to exist if players start getting paid. Law360.com reports Chancellor Blank told a California courtroom it's unclear if the UW would keep playing in the NCAA if it removed payment restrictions. A spokesperson for Chancellor Blank released a statement to us saying she, quote, strongly supports Wisconsin's athletics program. She adds college athletes are students first, and paying them would undermine the university community because they would be treated differently than others. Critics say paying student athletes might lead to fewer college sports fans, that is. And those in support of the idea say it could have a positive benefit on how those student athletes perform both on the field and in their classrooms. The trial in California is looking into the revenue student athletes bring to their schools and whether that indeed merits changes to the rules.
UW-Madison is holding a welcome event for its Native American students and staff on campus later today. The Multicultural Center is hosting that ceremony at the Dejo Paul this evening. It'll start outside at the fire pit that honors each of Wisconsin's 11 Native American tribes. Dinner's going to be held afterward. That event starts at 5:30.
We wanted to take some time to talk this morning about your kids' sleep schedule. You can't control what teacher your child is assigned to or what kind of anxiety your student might have about school, but a sleep schedule is one of the few things parents do have some control over. Therapist Britt Kuhlman with SSM Health says we often don't attribute changes in our mood to a lack of sleep when we're too tired to even consider that, but it is important to make that connection.
Sometimes we see these kids that are seemingly very hyperactive, and we don't think, oh, that's actually because they're tired, right? That's just how they react. So we expect to see kids acting slow and kind of lethargic, to when they're not getting enough sleep, but they could also appear to be hyper, anxious, kind of the whole spectrum.
We have more from Kuhlman over on our Time for Kids, Time to Talk page. You can just visit channel3000.com/time4kids to browse all of our stories and mental health resources there. 6:18 right now. There are some UW students screaming over ice cream this morning, but not in a good way. We are going to take a look at the ingredient that has some students calling for a boycott of Babcock.
Not exactly an ice cream kind of day anyway.
Every day's an ice cream kind of day.
All right, depends on who you ask. Hattie says, look at that. It's going to cool down and rain for the better part of your day. If we get to see the day at all, pretty foggy this morning. We'll check in with her next on News 3 This Morning.
Good morning. On this Wednesday morning, we've been talking about fog all morning, and here's the view in Platteville. Thanks to our Queen Bee Radio Sky Cam, we are noting some fog there as well. Temperatures are in the 50s and 60s this morning. Here's a look at visibility. Half-mile visibility in Mineral Point. That's down just over the last 10 minutes. Some fog as well reported on the west side of Madison. Here's a look at our temperatures now. 59 in Madison and Janesville, still 64 in Platteville, 61 in the Dells. Doppler track is very quiet right now, but we are watching a cluster of showers and thunderstorms to the west. It will continue to track eastward, but weaken as it goes east this morning. We do expect some showers and isolated thunderstorms, though, to hold together long enough to make it into southern Wisconsin. So while it will be dry at the bus stop this morning, maybe a little wet as you head home from school. Temperatures will top in the 70s today. Have a wonderful day.
All right, thanks, Hattie. 6:23 your time now this morning. With less than 2 months until the November election, the latest Marquette Law poll shows Democrats are in the lead in the top 2 races here in Wisconsin.
Those results released yesterday show that Democrat Tony Evers has a 5-point lead over incumbent Governor Walker among voters who say they'll actually vote in November. Libertarian Phil Anderson has 6% of the vote. The margin of error in that poll is just under 4.5%.
And in the U.S. Senate race, Democratic incumbent Tammy Baldwin's lead is growing from last month. Baldwin is leading State Senator Leah Vukmir 53 to 42%.
So in both of those races, the Democratic lead has grown from the last poll that was conducted, or the results were released in August, I should say. Walker's and Evers were actually tied at that time. Still, about a quarter of voters say they do not know enough about the incumbent's challengers heading into November's midterms.
In Rock County, there are some new recommendations to spend millions on upgrades for some public buildings there. The Janesville Gazette reports a county committee took a look yesterday at what it would cost to remodel the sheriff's office, build a new jail, make upgrades to the Rock County Fairgrounds, and combine the healthcare, job, and counseling centers in Janesville. The price tag for all that work, tens of millions of dollars. The Milwaukee-based firm suggesting all those changes will share its ideas to the county board later this month. Some UW students want their favorite terrace time treat to take the meat out of its ingredients list. The Associated Students of Madison is asking that the famous Babcock ice cream stop using beef gelatin stabilizers in its products. The group says it discriminates against certain religious, ethnic, and dietary communities, and students are even threatening to boycott UW-sponsored events that offer the ice cream. Babcock does list 3 plant-based options on their website.
Super interesting. Definitely a talker there.
Gelatin stabilizers. All right, 6:24 your time now. The woman who's about to become Dane County's first black representative at the state capitol says one of her constituents called police on her because of her race.
We'll have more on that story. And another county is officially under a state of emergency this morning after flooding earlier this month. We'll tell you what that means for federal and state aid next on News 3 this morning.
FEMA is going to be training people on how to stay safe during a natural disaster, just as another county in our area becomes eligible for federal disaster aid.
With rain in the forecast, officials are watching water levels very closely. I'm Josh Spreader live with an update on that and the conditions of our area roads after all of the flooding.
This is News 3 This Morning.
Good morning and welcome to the final half hour of News 3 This Morning. It is 6:28 now on this Wednesday, September 19th. And I think a lot of us are really on edge with more rain in the forecast and what that means for flooding.
There's been a lot of fog out there this morning as we look out on all the weather cameras. Let's turn it over to Hattie McLean, who has an alert day to talk about with all the chances for rain today. Hattie.
Good morning. You're right. It is an alert day today across southern Wisconsin and tomorrow due to the potential for some heavy rain as well as severe thunderstorms. Let's take a live look outside, though. This is from the WISC-TV sky cam. I even tilted the camera down a little bit just a couple of minutes ago so you could see the ground in the shot, but now that is foggy as well. So not able to see a whole lot. The fog is elevated just a little bit, so it's not, doesn't look like that all the way to the ground this morning here at the station, but you get the idea. There is some fog in the area. Visibility is down to about a half a mile in Mineral Point. There are some other spots with some patchy dense fog this morning. Nothing showing up on the radar just yet, and I think it's going to be mainly dry as we start the day today. And that's relatively speaking because it still feels pretty damp outside this morning. Lots of rain off to our west, though, and those showers and thunderstorms are continuing to track eastward. They're now about making it to I-35, which goes through central Iowa. They'll continue to track east through the day today, arriving in southern Wisconsin and the Madison area right about lunchtime. They will be weakening, though, so it looks like showers and isolated thunderstorms expected here. Our day planner temperatures take us from the low 60s into the mid 70s today. Plan on some scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms through the afternoon and then again later tonight into tomorrow. Here's a look at your first alert traffic update this morning. We'll show you what's happening. A few slowdowns inbound on Park Street at this hour and just a couple of brake lights showing up on the Beltline at Stoughton Road. Otherwise, no major issues to report. You're still going at posted speeds heading into Madison. And that's your first alert traffic.
All right, thanks, Hattie. A reminder, folks, drive careful on that foggy commute this morning. 6:30 now. The candidate who's about to become Dane County's first black lawmaker in the state assembly says a constituent called police on her for canvassing in their neighborhood. The Cap Times reports Sheila Stubbs was out stumping in August with her mom and her daughter when someone called 911 to report a vehicle that was waiting for drugs at a local drug house. Stubbs attributes that incident to her race as a black woman. She says it made her feel like she didn't belong in that neighborhood. Stubbs is a 12-year veteran of the Dane County Board of Supervisors. She doesn't have a Republican challenger in the November election, and as such, she's effectively already the 77th district representative.
The city of Portage is considering putting more limitations on where sex offenders can spend time. Under the new ordinance, registered sex offenders would not be able to loiter or linger within 100 feet of a child safety zone. That includes sports fields, playgrounds, daycares, libraries, places like that. It's already illegal for sex offenders to live within 500 feet of those places. According to the Portage Daily Register, one council member is questioning whether those rules would apply to a place of worship. Now, city staff reportedly said a pastor could decide whether to allow that person into their church. The ordinance will be discussed, that is, again, at future council meetings.
Madison Mayor Paul Soglin is expected to update us later this morning on the latest flooding concerns in a press conference.
Yeah, a lot of people living on the isthmus are wondering if the rain in the forecast means more road closures, as dry streets are also already showing the effects of the weeks of sitting water and standing water there. Josh Spreader is live near Lake Monona this morning with more on where things stand right now. Good morning, Josh.
Good morning. We're live near Olin Park. You can see the Wingra Creek is right behind me, and you've probably noticed some streets look like this. The heavy rain has caused them to cave in. Although the city hasn't seen much damage, has seen some damage rather, they don't anticipate too much. The high water has also many bike trails closed and blocked off them as well. Before the streets and trails can be taken care of, officials say the water must go down first. And with more rain in the forecast, that will have to go on the back burner for now. Water resource engineers are monitoring levels across the Yahara Lakes this morning and also those low-lying areas until the flooding risk is over, which could be weeks away, we're told. The city's urging you to keep those sandbags in place. Again, we expect to get the latest update from the mayor in that press conference later this morning. We will be streaming that on Channel 3000. Ladies.
All right, Josh Sprider reporting live right near Lake Monona this morning. Thank you very much, Josh.
Now, while we watch this next round of rain and what it means for flooding in Dane County, officials are looking at ways to deal with Lake Mendota's high water levels long term. A board will meet tomorrow to talk about how to get that water down right now and then keep it down in the future. That might mean permanently reducing water levels in Mendota, which would require the DNR to adjust the minimum requirement there. An advisory committee will research that idea a little more in depth this fall.
There are still free cleanup kits and well testing kits available in Sauk County this morning. And as rain continues this week, supervisors there have officially signed off on a state of emergency declaration. That officially allows the county to apply for state and federal funding to help out with flooding recovery. Earlier this month, Emergency Management Director Jeff Jelinek said that flooding had caused $5.7 million worth of damage there. He expected that number to go up as well. More than 200 homeowners in Sauk County have reported damage.
City leaders in Janesville are still trying to figure out if getting rid of the Monterey Dam was a good or a bad thing when it came to flooding in the downtown area. The Janesville Gazette reports the Rock River didn't quite crest as high as it was predicted to. It reached just over 11 feet instead of 11.5. The city's Public Works Department told the paper no dam didn't seem to make a difference, but it's hard to tell because this is the first flood without it. The dam removal was supposed to bring down river levels by a couple of inches. The city is still monitoring the rock before sandbags can be removed, likely sometime next week.
After all of this flooding across the state, there's an opportunity to learn more about ways to be better prepared for future natural disasters. September is National Preparedness Month, and the Wisconsin Safety Council is offering a training course today along with FEMA and Ready.gov to share some tips on what to do in these kinds of emergencies. That includes flooding, tornadoes, and fires. Registration is required. It starts at 7:30 at the Safety Council's offices on East Washington Avenue. 6:35 right now. After promising up to 13,000 jobs and partnerships with universities across the state, Foxconn now says it will help some of the state's farmers that have been affected by tariffs from China.
We'll have more on that story. Plus, over in our neighbor state, businesses like Target and 3M are getting involved in the fight against the opioid epidemic. We'll tell you what those Minnesota companies are doing when News 3 This Morning returns. Welcome back. We always ask you to share your mornings with us here on the program, and I had to pick this one today as a nice reminder. This is what we get after all of the rain this week. Some water droplets decorating a spider web. Makes for a pretty nice Instagram post if you ask me.
Yeah, a really, really nice shot. So thank you, Janet, I'm assuming, for sharing. Her Instagram handle is quite good right there. What does your morning look like? Take a picture, post it on our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, of course. Whatever it is, use the hashtag MyNews3Morning so we can share our favorites every morning here on the program.
We want to take a minute to thank everyone who has donated so far to our Coats for Kids campaign. We're up to 1,082 coats this morning. We've been inviting schools to start their own collections, and we want to encourage area businesses to join in too. All it takes is a designated drop-off area at your business and an email to your coworkers encouraging them to donate their unused or outgrown winter coats and accessories. You can drop off those items at any Clinky Cleaners or Lucier Family YMCA here in Dane County.
6:40 almost your time this morning, and we talk a lot about what police, doctors, and lawmakers are doing to curb the opioid epidemic, but there's a group of businesses up in Minnesota starting an effort to prevent that problem from growing there. Target, 3M, Polaris, and more than 100 other companies have agreed to set up workplace defenses against opioid addiction. That will include a toolkit to inform employees about resources for people struggling, treatment options, and where to safely throw out old pills.
The United Way chapter that serves Rock County is launching its Day of Caring this morning. That campaign sets volunteers up with a day's worth of projects that normally wouldn't be completed because of a lack of funding or a lack of help. This year, there are 163 teams made up of almost 1,000 volunteers. They're going to help out with more than 100 different community projects today. Those include things like cleaning and remodeling at community centers and installing a new playground over at a local daycare. Great idea to get involved
Definitely.
with today, but maybe pick the volunteering that is indoors.
Yeah.
Probably the way to go. Hattie's going to tell us where the rain's going to be the heaviest today and when we're going to see a break in between these next two alert days. That's coming up after the break.
First, though, if you have a little kiddo turning 3 soon, please let us know so we can show their picture on TV and help them celebrate. News 3 This Morning will be right back.
Welcome back. The tech company that's promising the state thousands of jobs and partnerships with universities now wants to help out Wisconsin farmers, too. Foxconn says it's asking the Ginseng Board of Wisconsin to help cross the company's new Wisconsin-based ginseng brand, Hong Seng. Farmers will provide the ginseng and expertise to Hong Seng, while that company takes on inspection and production responsibilities. Ginseng growers have been particularly hit hard by Chinese tariffs on their product. Exports of the plant are an $8 million per year industry, and China is one of the largest consumers.
All right, your time right now is 6:44. Let's turn it over to Hattie McLean, who has an alert day to talk about for more rain. Hads?
Yeah, something that some areas definitely don't need, but rain is in the forecast today and tomorrow are alert days with that potential for heavy rain. As the models come into a clear agreement on this next system, it looks like areas north of the Dells heading into central Wisconsin have the best chance for high rain totals there, 2 to 4 inches possible. Those rain totals then diminish as you head towards the Wisconsin-Illinois state line. With that potential for heavy rain, the National Weather Service in La Crosse has issued a flash flood watch for those counties shaded in green. That does include Juneau and Adams counties. It starts tonight at 6 p.m. and goes through noon tomorrow. Now, nothing is showing up on the radar around here this morning. So unlike yesterday, it's a dry start to the day. Been watching this cluster of storms, though, work its way out of South Dakota. Now it's tracking across northern Iowa and southern parts of Minnesota. It will continue to track eastward through the day, but weaken some as it does. So here's a look at future track. Those storms developing right along a warm front. Again, tracking to the east through the day today, weaken as they head into southern Wisconsin, but there still is a chance for some showers and isolated thunderstorms this afternoon. Better chance for more widespread rain tonight as that front begins to lift northward. The rain will come to an end Thursday morning. We'll break into some sunshine, and with a strong southerly wind, it's going to turn quite warm and humid around here, close to 90 as you get towards the Wisconsin-Illinois state line. Rain returns then as a cold front moves back in overnight Thursday night into early Friday morning. There is the potential for severe weather with that front, but with it moving through overnight, that chance for severe weather is diminishing for most of southern Wisconsin. The rain will come to an end then on Friday morning. This morning, though, we start with some fog. Still a very foggy shot from the WISC-TV Skycam. At the airport, no issues with fog, but as you head towards Mineral Point, visibility is still less than a mile there. So be aware for that patchy, dense fog. Temperature has risen a degree here in Madison. We're back to 60, 63 in Mineral Point, still 59 though in Janesville. Dew points are going to trend a little bit upward through the day. It feels kind of muggy outside this morning, and we'll have relatively high dew points through the day today. Your Pinpoint City forecast definitely calls for that chance for rain this afternoon across the entire area. We're looking at a high of 74 in New Glarus and Evansville. To the west, high temperatures again, low to mid 70s, 74 in Platteville, 72 in Fenimore. To the north might be a little bit cooler with some spots staying in the 60s today. Here in Madison, we'll top at 74 degrees this afternoon. Temperatures are all over the place over the next 3 days. Again, with that warm front lifting to the north of us tomorrow, we're in the 80s and then dropping back down into the 60s for Friday and Saturday. Should feel very nice, though, with low humidity and lots of sunshine. This is my favorite pet walk of the week so far. I know it's only Wednesday, but Azalea, look at how closely she's paying attention to the weather.
Yes, very, very intently. Watching that weather, watching the rain chances.
That's right. Gotta get out for the walk.
All right, thanks, Hattie.
You're welcome.
Stay with us. The Morning Sprint is up next.
6:51, time now for the morning sprint. Hattie has an alert day for storm and shower chances throughout the day. Josh Spreiter is sharing whether we should be concerned with that forecast about more flooding on the isthmus.
And Christina Laurie is talking about the Adams County clerk who could be fired today after a massive data breach. But we start at UW-Whitewater. That's where the UW system is launching a new investigation into sexual assault allegations against the husband of the university's chancellor. Pete Hill has served as an associate to Chancellor Beverly Copper since 2015. He's been banned from campus since June, when a number of women came forward with harassment accusations against him. Now, a Whitewater councilwoman says he put his hand down her skirt. Hill has denied doing anything wrong.
Police are trying to figure out if the man charged with murdering an Iowa State golfer knew the woman he's accused of killing. Authorities found the body of 22-year-old Thalia Barkine Mena, that is, Monday. Now, the European golf champion was found stabbed to death in a pond at a course in Ames. Police say the man accused of killing her, 22-year-old Colin Richards, was living in the woods.
The candidate, who's about to become Dane County's first black lawmaker in the state assembly, says a constituent called police on her for canvassing in their neighborhood. The Cap Times reports Sheila Stubbs was out stumping in August when someone called 911 to report a vehicle that was waiting for drugs. Stubbs attributes that incident to her race as a black woman. She says it made her feel like she didn't belong.
Adams County board members will decide today whether or not County Clerk Cindy Philippi should keep her job. Philippi is accused of exposing the personal information of more than 500,000 people by using an unsecure laptop, causing a massive data breach. Investigators say Philippi has access to software that could read all county employee emails. Access to this information was reportedly outside the authority of the county clerk's position. So far, she hasn't been charged with a crime. Philippi has served as the Adams County clerk for 13 years.
Thank you, Christina. The Sun Prairie School District's expected to reopen the high school pool this morning after a swimmer was infected with cryptosporidium. Anyone who swam in the pool from August 22nd to yesterday is susceptible to the parasite, which can cause diarrhea, nausea, vomiting, cramping, and fever. Crews shocked the pool with high chlorine levels to clean it overnight. It's unclear how the parasite got into the pool.
And our forecast this morning starts with fog and then transitions to some rain by midday. Visibility still just half a mile in Mineral Point. The fog is patchy, though, across southern Wisconsin, so be aware of that as you hit the road this morning. Watching some rain to the west that will continue to track eastward through the day, weakening as it heads into southern Wisconsin, but still some showers and isolated thunderstorms are in our forecast. By lunchtime, turning a little wet around here. Looks like those showers stay in the area through the afternoon. Highs in the mid-70s today.
I'm Josh Spreiter live at Lake Monona. With that rain in the forecast, officials are closely monitoring those water levels across the city of Madison. We expect to get another update from the mayor later today. Before yesterday's rainfall, Lake Monona was 8 inches below its record level late last month. At last check, city officials tell me the lake is still above the 100-year flood level. But with rain potentially on the way, water resource engineers say the areas along the Yahara River should still be cautious. If we get too much rain too quickly and the water gets too high, the county may have to open the locks again out of Mendota. That would increase the flow into the Yahara River and Lake Monona, eventually making it down to the lower lakes as well. They say other low-lying areas should also be careful. City officials are again reminding you to keep those sandbags in place as the threat for flooding is not over.
Thanks so much, Josh. Sauk County is officially asking the state and federal governments for money to help with flooding relief. Supervisors signed off on a state of emergency declaration at their meeting last night. Earlier this month, the emergency management director there said flooding had caused $5.7 million in damage. He expected that number to rise. More than 200 homeowners in Sauk County have reported damage.
Foxconn is partnering with the state's ginseng growers to help with production and inspection through the tech company's Hong Seng ginseng brand. That agreement will help farmers struggling with tariffs from China that raised the price of ginseng shipped to that country by 15%. Wisconsin is the country's largest ginseng producer with exports of about $8 million a year.
The state's DNR board will be meeting later today to talk about when and where elk hunting can take place in Wisconsin. Right now, state rules say the DNR can only hold a hunt for the state's closely managed elk herd if populations up north are high enough. But the DNR says it wants to be able to determine when they can hold a hunt rather than rely on herd numbers. An elk hunt starts about a month from now. 4 people out of 38,000 applicants were chosen to receive tags for that limited hunt.
UW-Madison Chancellor Rebecca Blank says the school's athletic program could cease to exist if players start getting paid. That's according to reports from a California courtroom, that is. A spokesperson for Chancellor Blank then released a statement saying college athletes are students first and paying them would undermine the university community because they would be treated differently than others.
All right, 6:56 your time now. Let's turn it over to Josh Tim with a look at your first alert traffic. Good morning, Josh.
Morning, guys. A few brake lights are beginning to pop up on the westbound Beltline as everyone hits the roadways. Plan on a couple minutes extra between Stoughton Road and West Broadway. Inbound John Nolan's having the brakes near the Olin Avenue and North Shore Drive intersections, adding a minute or two heading into the downtown Madison area. Still dense fog showing up, especially southwest of Madison. Just make sure you have those headlights on. But on the main routes heading into the city, they're cruising along at the usual speeds right now with no crashes or delays. Your first alert traffic, I'm Josh Tim.
Thanks, Josh.
And Josh did mention that fog southwest of Madison. Here's the view from the Queen Bee Radio Skycam in Platteville. Don't have very good visibility there. Watch out for the fog this morning. We do have a lot of clouds in the area and some rain moving in by midday today. Temperatures in the mid-70s today, 80s tomorrow, but then 60s on Friday. An up and down roller coaster ride.
No kidding. And we are looking ahead to that day because, of course, we are dealing with that fog and possibilities of rain all day today. Stay dry. We'll see you tomorrow.